Hi, good morning, Meilani.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks so much for joining me and sharing your story today. I'm really excited to dive into all that you've done. You've done so much, and it's been so awesome to watch that. So, yeah, do you want to maybe start off by just telling a little bit about who you are and what inspired you to work with me and that kind of thing?
Yeah, so my name is Meilani, and I am a art director for a marketing and advertising agency. Initially, it was just like having um, symptoms from eating certain foods. And I had gone to so many different doctors. I had gone to like three different doctors and a allergy specialist. And I tried like all these different programs on my own, and nothing was working.
Yeah.
And another thing too is that like when I have symptoms from foods, it's not always digestive. So kind of figuring those pieces out, and just I remember feeling kind of helpless, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
not knowing what to do, thinking that I tried everything that I could, and then being able to find you to kind of help navigate all of these things.
Yes. I'm so glad that we did find each other, and it really is such a common story that people have been to so many doctors and tried different things, but none of it's really getting to the root cause and getting them past what they're struggling with. And I love that you're pointing out that so many of your symptoms were not just a stomach ache or bloating or bowel irregularities. You know, there were other things that were happening that weren't explained, that now have been you've connected, and we've connected to food sensitivities and what's happening in your gut and that underlying dysfunction. So I think that's really important for people to hear that, because for a lot of us, I think, and I know for me initially, it was all about the stomach pain and discomfort and bloating and things like that. So that's a really important piece, I think, for people to understand, is that your gut is so foundational and can affect all these other things, like your skin and your mental health, anxiety and stress, and just so the list is endless, so many things. So thanks for sharing that. um yeah, I guess, do you want to talk a little bit about maybe where you were when you started, and then go into a little bit about where you are now, what you feel like has changed?
Yeah, so where I was before was I was having symptoms every day.
Yeah, I
And it was
remember.
like multiple symptoms, right? So it was like itchy skin, headaches, lightheadedness, feeling dizzy, all of these
Yeah.
different things, being tired all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just working on such a customized plan has helped me like identify what does which thing, which is also like a big relief for me to be like, if I have a symptom, I know what caused the symptom. And then to say, okay, I also know that if I'm having this symptom, what I can do to feel better in that moment. Like
So empowering.
just because you feel bad doesn't mean that you can't do something about it.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. So it makes that process to come back to a good baseline so much easier and simpler, and kind of what I'm hearing you say is it feels like it's in your control. Like
Yes.
you can really know what to do when something comes up instead of just being like, what's happening in my body? And I remember feeling that too. That lack of clarity and that lack of awareness is huge. And I think that has shifted so much in this
Yes.
time too. And you even started with an amazing level of awareness, but
Yeah, I mean, when I had started working with you, I was already food journaling and I was doing as much as I could think of to
yeah,
try to figure these things out on my own
yes,
and just wasn't getting anywhere. Um, and I also want to bring to light like how many different ways that you have improved my life, not only through food, but through like looking at what you can do about your genetics and your environment. And I felt like I was doing a lot to reduce environmental toxins prior, like making my own cleaning products and all these different things. But
yeah.
there were multiple pieces that I was missing or didn't think about until I was actually, working with you.
That seems like one of the areas that's made the biggest difference for you from what I can see. Do you think that that's accurate to say?
Yes, and
Yeah.
there are so many things that you can't see, right? And so many things that was affected by like when I was younger, right? And just
Yeah.
never recovered from. So it's amazing to see too how um all of these things I've lived with my whole life and never even knew about, right?
Yeah. Right. It's a
Like
massive
one
amount of stress
one
on your
thing was
body and
like
on your gut.
eczema that I've had since I
Mm,
was 5 and have finally like figured out how to um, relieve my symptoms. I no longer have eczema anymore.
that's amazing. So exciting. I mean, that's eczema is such a hard thing to work through too. And I think most people probably just never get there, because we're not necessarily looking at, again, those underlying causes and working
And
with that. And the underlying
I
things are
think,
these basic things, right? Like food and your
yeah,
lifestyle and your environment. And
and
yeah,
it's
go ahead.
crazy too because as a child, I saw a regular dermatologist like every couple weeks,
Yeah.
to try to relieve these symptoms, and they never got to the root cause of
Yes. Yeah. It is interesting. It's interesting that these major but basic things in our lives, it really is like all these little things coming together. And like you've done such an incredible job and you've worked so hard. We have to acknowledge that during this time too, that like you have worked so hard and just diligently showed up every week and you're doing as much as you can. And you'll show up at a session and be like, oh, and I did this and this and this beyond like what
it.
we've even talked about, and it doesn't always take that. It's just that consistency. I think
Right.
it's consistently moving those stressors, um removing them so that they're no longer taking up so many resources and taking up so much energy in your body and causing all these problems. And as you start to just remove one by one those little things, like the shift is incredible. So I'd love to hear a little bit more, like you're talking about your eczema. Do you want to talk a little bit more about where you are now? Like I'm thinking hormonally or with your digestive health, your energy, like there's so many things, but whatever comes to mind when I say that, we can
Yeah.
just go into that.
So for skin, I no longer have eczema, and my acne is significantly better.
Awesome.
I have more balanced hormones. Because when we started, I wasn't having a menstrual cycle.
Yeah.
Um, and that has really helped too. And then just having more energy and being less stressed,
Yes.
right? Having peace of mind,
So good.
knowing that I know what's going on with my body.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I also do want to mention that how encouraging and supportive you were through this whole process. It really makes it
Thank
so
you.
much easier.
Good. Good. I mean, it's so fun to work with someone too who is just so ready for change. It's like every week things were changing, and I'm really glad that the support was helpful. I think that that's such a key. I know for me, because I did the same thing. I was trying to DIY it, figure it out. I was like, if I watch this next thing, if I take this next supplement, if I see this next practitioner. But getting support, this holistic support from someone, is just to have someone there with you, because no, it doesn't matter how versed in the area we are. We need someone to like kind of reflect and say, oh, hey, what about this? Or what does this feel like to you? Or that kind of thing, and just help us consistently like check in.
So too, how you told me that how all of these things are connected, right? And so as one piece gets better, all these other pieces are going to get better.
Yes.
And I remember you telling me that like in the beginning, and I was just kind of like, I'm not so sure, but it is 100% true.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is kind of hard to believe, but
Yeah.
we're not a mess. Nobody's broken. We have things that we can do, like you were saying. There's things we can do to feel better, and it's incredible. And like it will continue. Like from here on in your journey, the more that you check in and support yourself and figure out what is, continue to watch what's serving you and what's not. And I think not being attached to certain ideas too really is also, I think, having the support to work with those mindset shifts, that like just because this thing is deemed healthy in our culture or in our minds, it's not necessarily going to be healthy for us. So
That whole customized piece, right? Because like what works for one person doesn't may not work for another person.
so true.
So I
Yeah.
mean, that's why all of these other programs and plans that I did try like didn't work, because I was implementing things that my body couldn't handle.
Right.
And so it's like, okay, this I know that eating more of this item is supposed to be healthy,
Why isn't
right?
it working?
But yeah, it's not working because
Yeah.
you're my body was like sensitive to so many things that were supposed to be deemed healthy. Thinking more beyond the like food piece of like even as I tried to clean up like my skincare routine,
Yeah.
there were, higher levels of these certain chemicals in them that were like natural chemicals that should be like safer and healthier for your skin
Right.
to use. And my skin got worse because I was sensitive to those things.
So, I'd love to, if you want to share a little bit about kind of your expectations coming into the program, and then if you have any words for those who are listening, about doing a program like this and finding support of some sort that's right for them. If you want to talk about that a little bit, that would be awesome.
Yeah. So going into the program, I remember I was like, all I need to do is know what I can eat and what I can't eat. Right.
This is
And
what
then,
we're going to figure out. Yeah.
right. And then we got all of these like other benefits from, all of these other, especially with like reducing stress and
Mhm.
just all these other components got better like that I wasn't anticipating.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. It's like you
Yeah.
went above and beyond
Yeah.
my expectations.
Oh, well, thank you. And I think, um, it's also like you went above and beyond your expectations, I think, as well, because we came into it trying to figure out this one thing. But I think when people come into to a program like this and they're receptive to coaching and to looking at like some different areas, that's when this really truly holistic healing happens. And so many things, as you've said, come up from it, along with stress and being able to honor your body and check in versus, just this list of like, if I eat this my stomach feels good, if I eat this it doesn't, sort of thing. Like, there's just so much more that either serves us or doesn't serve us in our life than just food, and all of those things are um, stressors on the gut and become toxic in our body and create inflammation, if they're not serving us. So yeah, it's been awesome to go through the journey with you and just to see how much has shifted. And I just appreciate so much how receptive you've been as well to coaching and to trying different things and being like, oh, okay, so we've come this far with just the food piece. Now what's next? Like,
Yeah.
what else can open up? And I love that. And I love that, like, as we get towards the end of the program too, the idea of like, how can this transfer into the rest of your life? Like, look what you've created with your health. It's absolutely incredible what you've done, and that's going to continue as you continue to heal and you have these tools that you need to heal. And then it can be applied to like, where else in my life do I kind of want things to grow and shift, and what do I want to create? Like, it's incredible what we can create when we put our mind to it and then have the tools that we need to get there. It's, yeah, really, really awesome.
Yeah, and the tools that we have gone over and I've learned from this program, I can use in my life forever.
Yes.
It's going to always help
Yes.
me.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. I think that's probably awesome for people to hear too. It's not like this is just for now, and if something comes up again, then you have to figure out something new. Like, these are the things, figuring out what serves you and what doesn't serve you can work in any area. Like, is your job serving you? Are there people in your life that hanging out with them is not serving you, or things that they do, or your reaction, and it can just be applied to so many different areas that, like, that process, learning that process and facilitating that awareness is just like, it'll always be there for anything, any big thing that comes up. Like, being able to check in and know what's right for you is like such an important piece. So,
Yes,
well,
exactly.
do you have any last thoughts, or we can wrap up here if not?
Um, I think the most powerful thing that I've learned through this is just being able to listen to my body,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And like being able to trust that my body knows what it needs, and I just have to know how to listen to it.